All right, let's just get right into it. The eternal, universally asked gym question. Hey, how much do you bench? We've all heard it, right? It's basically the ultimate status symbol in gym culture. But today, we're ditching the Broscience, checking our egos at the door, and looking at the hard, objective data to rank the absolute best chest exercises from third to first place.
Look, we all know Monday is unofficially International Chest Day across the globe. But seriously, when you walk into the gym, are you picking your exercises based on actual science? Or are you just kind of relying on, subjective feelings, old gym myths, or whatever the biggest guy in the room told you to do? To build a perfectly balanced chest without absolutely wrecking your shoulders, we need facts. So we're looking at a highly respected study sponsored by the American Council on Exercise, run by researchers out at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. Bottom line, they didn't guess, they measured.
Okay, so how exactly did they measure it? Well, they used something called EMG, or electromyography. Think of EMG kind of like a super high-tech stethoscope, but instead of listening to a heartbeat, it's actually measuring the exact electrical signals your brain is firing off to your muscles. It tracks motor unit recruitment, firing rates, the whole shebang. In plain English, it literally tells us exactly how hard a muscle is working. They hooked up 14 experienced lifters to these machines and had them perform 9 different chest exercises at 80% of their 1-rep max. And honestly, the results were pretty eye-opening. If you look at standard bodyweight moves, like your basic push-ups or suspended push-ups, they only activate about 61 to 63% of your chest. Why? Well, it's simple. The absolute load just isn't heavy enough compared to moving iron. To get the same muscle-building stimulus from a push-up as you would from the top-tier lifts, you'd have to do a crazy amount of reps just to hit total failure. By that point, let's be real, you're basically just doing cardio. So, if push-ups are hanging out at the bottom of the barrel, what actually made the top 3?
Coming in at number 3 on our countdown,
we have the bent forward cable crossover, scoring a massive 93% EMG muscle activation. That is an incredibly high score, making it an absolute must-have for your routine. But what actually makes it so effective?
It all comes down to the mechanical superiority of cables over free weights for isolation. Think about a standard dumbbell fly. When you bring your arms together at the top, gravity is literally pulling straight down into your joints, so your chest essentially gets a break. It totally betrays you right when you want that maximum squeeze. But cables, they act like a giant stretched rubber band. They completely ignore gravity. They deliver this constant, unbroken tension along the entire path of the movement, giving you an insane peak contraction right in the center of your chest.
To nail this perfectly and actually get that 93% activation, set those pulleys right at or maybe slightly above shoulder height. Get into a staggered stance, 1 foot forward, and lean your torso forward just a bit, maybe 15 degrees. And here's the best visual for you. Keep a slight bend in your elbows and imagine you're trying to hug a giant tree trunk. You want to bring those handles inward in a large, sweeping arc, rather than just awkwardly pressing them straight forward. Now, the absolute key here is strict form. You really want to avoid using momentum or rocking your whole torso just to cheat the weight up. And this is crucial. Do not stretch your arms way back behind your body's center line at the start. That's called horizontal hyperextension. And doing that skyrockets your risk of shoulder impingement. Seriously, it's a fast track to joint injury. Oh, and no need to dramatically cross your hands over each other at the end. Just bringing them together is perfect.
moving right along, snatching the silver medal,
is the pec deck machine, coming in with a mind-blowing 98% muscle activation score. Statistically speaking, it's virtually identical to our #1 exercise. It is just an absolute powerhouse for building your chest.
I want you to think of the pec deck as your chest's personal isolation chamber. Because the machine physically locks in your motion path, you don't have to waste energy balancing the weight. This completely blocks out all those helper muscles, your triceps, the serratus anterior, the front delts, and it forces pure, unadulterated horizontal tension straight into the pectoralis major from start to finish.
Because this is an isolation move, strict form is non-negotiable. Sit deep in that seat and keep your back and your head glued flat against the pad. Bend your elbows to roughly 75 to 90 degrees right at shoulder height and just slowly squeeze the pads together. Nice controlled tempo. If you feel yourself peeling your back off the pad and rounding your shoulders to heave the weight, you're cheating the machine and, honestly, just robbing yourself of the gains.
Quick word of warning here though, please, do not let your ego pick the weight stack. Biomechanically, this exercise locks your shoulder into abduction and external rotation, which is a pretty vulnerable position for the joint. If you load up too much weight or try to stretch back way past your natural range of motion, you are walking right into the danger zone for impingements or labrum tears.
If you've got any history of shoulder issues, just keep the weight moderate and respect your natural range of motion.
And now, the undisputed king of chest day.
The flat barbell bench press. Serving as the absolute baseline for this entire University of Wisconsin study, it scored a perfect 100% EMG rating. It is literally the gold standard.
And this right here perfectly illustrates why it wins. Look at the makeup of your chest muscles. Up to 68% of your pec major is made up of fast-twitch, type 2 muscle fibers. Now, these specific fibers respond exceptionally well to heavy, progressive overload, basically moving really heavy iron. Because the barbell bench press lets you lift about 20% more total weight compared to dumbbells, it caps directly into those fast-twitch fibers, triggering massive strength and size gains.
But your technique has to be dialed in to actually unlock that 100% activation. First, plant your feet firmly on the floor. You need that stable base. Grip the bar just a bit wider than your shoulders so your forearms are perfectly vertical at the bottom of the movement. Then, pinch your shoulder blades together tight and lower the bar right down to your lower chest right around the nipple line. Finally, use that leg drive from the floor to press the bar up in a gentle arc back toward your face, not just straight up in a straight line. Now, true, the fixed hand position of a barbell means you can't squeeze your hands together at the top, but that extreme heavy load completely makes up for it. Just remember, you have to control the descent. Never, ever bounce that heavy barbell off your chest. And whatever you do, do not let your elbows flare way out above your shoulder line. Keep them directly under your wrists and slightly tucked in. Your shoulder joints will definitely thank you.
So how do we actually combine these top three into one killer routine?
Well, anatomy tells us we have to target all three regions of the chest: the upper, the middle, and the lower. To do that right, you've got to sequence your routine logically. You want to start your workout with those heavy compound lifts when your nervous system is totally fresh, and then progressively move down into isolated, high-rep movements to create massive metabolic stress. Seriously, take a screenshot of this blueprint right now for your next session. Step 1. Start strong with 3 to 4 sets of barbell bench press, doing 5 to 8 reps to get that heavy, fast twitch activation. Step 2. Hit the pec deck for 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps to completely isolate those fibers. And Step 3. Finish it all off with the cable crossover. 3 sets of 12 to 15 slow, super controlled reps to maintain constant tension and get an unbelievable pump. As the research clearly shows, relying on just one single exercise just doesn't cut it. Using this integrated, 3-pronged approach is hands down the smartest, fastest way to maximize your chest's true potential. You get the heavy mechanical load, you get the pure isolation, and you get that constant tension, all while keeping your shoulders perfectly healthy. So I've got to ask, now that you're armed with the actual EMG data, how are you going to switch up your next Monday workout? Ditch the Broscience and give this blueprint a shot. If you found this explainer helpful and you're ready to upgrade your next chest day, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below letting me know exactly how much you bench. And hey, it really makes you wonder, if gym lore was this wrong about chest day, what other muscle groups are we training completely wrong? Stick around to find out and keep pushing that science-backed weight.